Today in the lab, we're going to be going over Office 365. Whether you're just getting into the field, you're a veteran technician, you're a director, you're a C title, you're owning your own business, you own your own enterprise, you're a big, large company, it doesn't matter. Most likely, you're using cloud services, Office 365 being one of the biggest one out there. So let's get right into it and figure out what is Office 365? How can it benefit you? Office 365 is a line of subscription services offered by Microsoft as part of the Microsoft Office product line. The brand encompasses plans that allow use of the Microsoft Office software suite over the life of the subscription, being monthly or yearly, as well as cloud-based software service products for business environments. Some of those products basically, they kind of could be a range of things. Some of them, not all of them is Azure AD, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, Exchange, Power Apps, Flows, Power BI, Yammer, device management. There's just a ton and bunch more services they have. It really also depends on the different types of licensing. I'm not going to get into licensing right now in this video. I don't feel like that'll be a good thing. We'll be here forever if I get into licensing. If you have some time right now, go ahead and start looking at licensing, get yourself familiar with it. But that's not the point of this video right now. The point of this video is to kind of let you know what does Office 365 have to offer. And basically the straightforward point is a lot. But the problem is a lot of times is how do you use it all? And that's probably one of the biggest things in IT is how do you actually use, or I should say utilize, the technology that you have in hand. Using Office 365 is one of the key things that actually allows businesses, enterprises, entities, whatever you are, to really utilize a lot of their technology, that being mainly the integration that Office 365 actually allows. Office 365 is capable of basically almost integrating with every type of application, whether it be legacy, some third party, something somewhere. Most of the time you can go ahead and get it integrated with what they call Azure AD or Azure Active Directory, and that'll actually allow you to go ahead and authenticate your users with your Office 365 domain. So if you already go ahead and actually set up Office 365 per its actual documentation and make sure you follow it exactly to a T, when you create those users in Office 365, they actually get created in Azure AD, basic and free account. There are some other, licensing, but like I said, that's not a part of this video. But they actually get created in Azure AD, and once they're actually in Azure AD, they can actually be used to authenticate against other sources besides Office 365. And that's why Office 365 is so great, and it's very versatile because you're able to utilize it not just in its own services, but you're able to integrate other outside and third-party services. So that way, when a user comes in, they go ahead and log in with one username and password. Their email is the same username and password. Guess what? They need to access the CRM, same username and password. They need to print some stuff, same username and password. They need to get files, same username and password. You see where I'm going here? It makes it much easier, much more efficient for the user when they just have to use the same username and password. Now, don't get me wrong, with that being said, there is another thing we need to talk about, and now this is for another video, but I'm going to bring it up real quick, and that's multi-factor authentication. Now, with that being said, I'm going to have another video on that, but the basic of that is every time you sign in, if it's not from a trusted area or from a trusted device or IP or network, you'll actually get sent a text message, or you'll get sent a notification to a device, or you'll have to use an authenticator such as Google Auth or some other ones out there, some third parties, to actually allow you and give you access by typing in a code. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go back to the whole thing of single sign-on. That's one of the big key utilizations that everybody loves to use Office 365 for in Azure AD. You can go ahead and say you actually have an on-premise Active Directory, and that's where you have your domains at, and you already have users there. You can actually set up what they call Azure AD Connect, and that allows you to go ahead and connect your local Active Directory and sync it up to Azure AD. So users that are created locally can be synced up, and those user objects can actually be synced using AD Connect, meaning that the password that they use locally on AD would be the same password that they actually use in Office 365 and those services. What makes that great is, as I was saying before, anything they need to access, whether it's local in the domain or it's in Office 365 or the services linked to it, boom, one password. Don't know why I did two, but one password, one username, that's it. And that's a great feature because, once again, like I'm going to bring it up, it's all about making it easy for the end users to be able to use their data, access it, and do their job. We don't want them hopping around doing a bunch of different things, closing a bunch of windows. No, everything should be right there. So with that being said, let's jump into some other, services that Office 365 has to offer. One of the main ones that everybody loves Office 365 for, and a lot of the basic things, and one of the reasons a lot of people come to Office 365 is Exchange. Now, Exchange is really cool. Back in the day, it cost thousands of dollars. It used to cost a lot of money to not only host Exchange, but get licensing and to do that and allow you to actually have it on-prem. Nowadays, it's as easy as simply as paying a small subscription fee, whether it's monthly or it's actually yearly, to allow your users to go ahead and connect to their email. But not only that, Exchange offers calendars and contacts. So that's kind of a big deal why people love coming over to Office 365 is because they get Exchange, which provides emails for their users, allows them to share calendars, and allows them to also have contacts. Big deal. That's why a lot of people come here. But on top of that, the other thing that happens depending on the licensings, and usually if you go with like a business premium or, one of the other licensings, the kind of basics, or I believe E3, but like I said, another video, you'll actually get OneDrive, you'll get SharePoint, you'll get Teams. Now, each one of those have some really cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and start off with OneDrive. Now, OneDrive's really awesome because OneDrive allows each user to have a certain amount of space based on the licensing, meaning that they actually will have a personal OneDrive, or basically a personal Dropbox for those, or some, maybe you guys know it as Box, or it just kind of depends. Everybody knows that they have a kind of a cloud file share. Well, OneDrive is that for Microsoft Office 365. It will allow users to put files there, and if they're somewhere else, or say they're on their mobile device, they can actually install OneDrive there, or they can go to portal.office.com. Remember, that's actually an important URL. They can go to portal.office.com, log in, go to their OneDrive, and they would actually be able to access any files that they put there from their actual PC locally. Now, the other great thing about OneDrive is that it allows you to synchronize SharePoint. What are they called again? Document libraries. It allows you to synchronize SharePoint document libraries. Now, the reason being this is a really cool feature is that you can get rid of file servers, or you don't have to have them at all. The reason I'm saying that is that you can go ahead and actually create very large data sets, or these document libraries, up in SharePoint and synchronize them with OneDrive. So once you build a nice SharePoint site out, you can go ahead and build out some document libraries. You can put all the files there, and then you can actually grant rights to users and allow them to synchronize that SharePoint document folder. Once they synchronize it with OneDrive, they'll be able to access it. And the great thing is about Windows 10 and OneDrive is that it will actually only access and keep the files that they've used. So sure, they'll be able to see everything, but it actually won't store it on their PC. It won't take up any more space until they use it. And it'll actually sit there for 30 days until they don't touch it. So once they haven't touched it for 30 days, then it'll go ahead and unsync itself and free itself back up. Now, that doesn't mean it's not accessible. As long as the user has internet and it's still syncing with OneDrive, they can access everything in the SharePoint document library. Now, this is especially great for teams or people that are part of multiple teams. They could be a part of multiple teams or multiple departments, be invited to those SharePoint sites, and actually be allowed to sync their OneDrive with those different site document libraries and allow them to collaborate with users. Now, collaboration is key in Office 365, and it is kind of king over in Office 365. OneDrive also allows collaboration between Word and Excel documents. You can actually open up Excel documents, and users, multiple users I should say, can work inside the same document and will actually have their cursors outlined in different colors, letting you know who's there and what color they are and what they're doing. And it'll actually update in live time, because anytime a file is actually inside OneDrive, autosave is turned on, and it will keep autosaving itself updating. So that way, anytime you or someone else is working in the same file, it's trying to make sure you both are seeing the constant updates, and you're able to collaborate easier and talk together. And collaboration, that brings us into this whole next part here. Teams. Microsoft Teams is a great tool, and Teams has really grown into something that I don't think there's a bunch of different services that you can actually put inside Teams now that it's matured to the point that it has. With that being said, Teams is fantastic, not only because of the instant messaging and the Teams collaboration, but because it can actually be used as a soft phone now. Microsoft has now started offering Teams phones. You can actually go ahead and sign up for what they call the phone system package, and they have different levels of licensing that will allow you to turn your computer into a soft phone, or you can actually create your business. You can set up IVRs, hunt groups, things like that, to where you actually can set up a whole business line and have everything hosted through Office 365. Now, this is great and fantastic because not only do they offer domestic calling, they also offer international calling. And that, I think, is really great. I've been using it now for almost a year, and it has been fantastic. I've had great call quality, both international and domestic. I've had no issues with it. I really enjoy using Teams. And my great thing is that when people call my Teams line, I have it on my cell phone. So when my cell phone rings and I answer, it looks like it's from my business line and it's not just from a cell phone line. So to me, it looks much more professional when you're using Teams in that manner. And like I said before, if you need to make calls and things like that, it makes it much nicer being able to sit down at your desk, pull up your headset, put it on. Maybe you've got a microphone like I do here, put it up in front of you. You can kind of talk. You don't have to sit there and hold up a phone or any of that. I really enjoy what Teams has done and what it's, formed into. I'm probably actually a little biased too because I'm using Teams, for SharePoint and a bunch of other stuff. And I'll have plenty more videos. Like I said, this is just kind of an introduction of, what does Office 365 have? So I'm going to go onward. As I brought up earlier, I had Power Apps. I've got Flows, Powerby, Yammer, and I guess let's jump into Yammer. So Yammer is kind of, it's really cool. It's basically a custom internal social network. It's kind of like, I don't know if anybody has seen Workplace, but Yammer I think is a little bit better than Workplace. It just depends how you set it up, but it's an interactive custom internal social network that allows users and teams to interact with one another, kind of give updates, push each other, motivation. You just kind of share things. Maybe you've got a lot of locations, maybe you've got a lot of departments. It kind of lets apartments commingle, or lets locations commingle, lets them kind of talk to each other, lets them, network, things like that. That's why I think Yammer is great, because then you can also share from Teams and SharePoint and different, services into Yammer and really allow that collaboration. Once again, I've said collaboration a lot, I know, during this video, and there's a reason for that. It's because that's what Office 365 has really built themselves about, is collaboration. Now, the final 3 parts of this video are going to be 3 of my favorite parts, and each one of these is actually going to end up getting their own video in time. I'm just kind of wanting to give you guys each a little taste of what these are. Each of these is pretty cool, so I'm going to get into it. The first one I'm going to talk about is Power Apps. All right, now Power Apps is amazing because it's what I like to call a low-code solution. And by low-code, I mean that it's very easy to go in and edit, set up, create, manage an application. And they have tons of templates that are also very easy to manage, set up, change, modify, and there's plenty of people out there that are willing to help you set up and change and modify those. And basically what those Power Apps allow you to do is create, say you have PDF forms, say you have things where you're like, I have to have my people, I always have to go here, they have to fill out, this is how they get their paid time off, or if we need inventory, this is how we handle inventory, or we have assets, or people need to trade things, or we've got to manage, people's hours. You can actually all do that through Power Apps. It's very awesome. There's a ton of templates. Check it out if you haven't. I really encourage you. There's free Power Apps. There's licensing. There's different things. There's some paid tiers. Check it out. It's really awesome. It allows you to then create these applications that then can create data for you. With that being said, you can take all this data, you can collaborate all this data and use it and store it. And what's really cool about using that data is that you can then use Powerby. Now, what Powerby is you're going to have to look this one up too. Powerby is a reporting service. It's really awesome. What Powerby allows you to do is create reports, dashboards via just static, dynamic, interactive, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to create. It allows you to report upon that data. And remember how I was talking about Power Apps creating and allowing you to, take in that data? That's what I've been kind of doing, is I've actually been creating Power Apps that go and take all this data and maybe allow for input of data or track certain things, and we push that data into a SharePoint list or to SQL databases, and then we create custom Powerby reports that allow us to go ahead and pick apart that data or look at that data and kind of extrapolate on different, what are we trying to do here? Are we going to get a return on investment on this piece of asset? Are we pulling enough hours here? Do we need to do this? Do we have a budget here? Like, there's a lot of different things that you can do, not only with Power Apps, but with Powerby, especially when you put them together. And that's where this kind of triangle comes together here at the end here, is Microsoft Flows being the last part. Now, Microsoft Flows is one of the greatest things that, you've probably heard of Zapier and some other things, but Microsoft Flows is one of the greatest things that I've managed to actually get my hands on in some time, and that's because of what it's actually capable of doing. Microsoft Flow is capable of integrating not only with its applications, but tons of other applications, and you can actually create custom HTTP like posts and GET requests and things like that, and you can actually make it interact with APIs, pulling data, and you can actually pull any type of data you want from any type of API. I mean, you think imaginable. I've been creating flows now for the last 2 years almost that have been doing assortments of things. I've had flows taking in emails that are looking for attachments, taking those attachments, moving over to a OneDrive folder so that way it syncs down, and then it sends an email to someone and let them know that, hey, you've got a new email here. I've also got flows that are going in and looking at assets and making sure that they're updated, and that if they're being rented, that the renter's notified, if it's out longer than it is. There's a lot of cool features that come in with flows. But the other thing that a lot of people don't realize with flows is what it can do to automate you and automate things for you. You can go ahead and actually use Power Apps, Flows, and Power BI, as I kind of call the golden triangle right now, which is amazing because what it allows you to do is it allows you to create an application that then allows you to be automated and report upon it. And I think that's a really cool feature. One of those things I'll bring up is onboarding. I have a lot of, things I work on where a lot of people are like, well, we have all these clients, we have a lot of these employees coming in. We've got to hire. We've got offboarding. Well, you can actually go ahead and using Power Apps, you can build out different systems that would allow you to automate that using Power App and Flows together. You can actually interact them with Azure AD, create user accounts, assign licensing. There's a ton of different things you can do by utilizing all three of Power Apps, Flows, and Power BI. At the end of the year or every week, whatever you're doing, you can have reporting coming up showing how many people you've hired, what locations are doing what, things like that. It's just, there's so many different things. So I could go on forever about Office 365. I don't want to, guys. We're already 17 minutes into this video, and I really don't want to have to go longer than we already are. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this introduction to Office 365. As you can tell, it's one of my passions. It's what I've been doing for the last, almost 2 years now, and I've been really enjoying it. Actually, I've been doing it longer than 2 years, but 2 years has been really where I've been really hammering hard at it and really enjoying and figuring out all the different things it can do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If it was, make sure you guys, give it a like. If not, give it a dislike. Let me know down in the comments if I didn't explain something right. Go ahead and click subscribe. Make sure the bell's clicked so you guys get notified as I go ahead and release new videos. As I said at the beginning of this video, this was a start of my cloud series. After this, I'll be releasing some other videos for my infrastructure, and I do have some other things in the works. So thank you guys. As always, though, I'll see you in the lab.